Hello, welcome to Moments That Touch. Sit back and relax because the best story is about to begin.
Just before we begin, your presence means a lot. Say hi and share where you're tuning in from, only if you want to. Before we dive into today's heart-wrenching story, I want to ask you something. Have you ever had that gut feeling that something terrible was about to happen to someone you love? Drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. Now, let me tell you about Marcus Caldwell's desperate race against time. The November rain hammered against the windows of St. Catherine's Children's Hospital. As Marcus Caldwell's taxi screeched to a halt, 3 months. He'd been gone 3 long months in Tokyo, closing the Yamamoto acquisition while his 8-year-old daughter Lily lay in this sterile building, fighting something the doctors couldn't even name. Keep the change. He thrust 100 at the driver, his hands trembling as he grabbed his luggage. The weight of those months away pressed on his chest like a physical thing. The hospital lobby smelled of disinfectant and fear, a combination he'd grown to hate since Lily's first collapse. His Armani suit was wrinkled from the 14-hour flight, his eyes burning with exhaustion. But none of that mattered. 2 weeks ago, Vivian had called to say Lily was admitted with idiopathic respiratory syndrome. Her voice had been calm, controlled. He realized now. Room 307. He muttered to himself, bypassing the elevator for the stairs. Something pulled him forward. An urgency he couldn't name. His phone vibrated violently in his pocket as he reached the 3rd floor. Unknown number. He almost ignored it, but something made him look. Don't let her blow. Come now. Nurse Nora. The words didn't make sense, but the terror behind them did. Marcus ran, his leather shoes slipping on the wax floor. Other visitors pressed against walls as he charged past, following the room numbers like a man possessed. 303, 305, 307. Through the small reinforced window, he saw a scene that stopped his heart. His baby girl, pale as the hospital sheets, sat propped against pillows. Her strawberry blonde hair, Sarah's hair, hung limp around her face. But it was what sat before her that made his blood freeze. A chocolate cake, 9 flickering candles, and Lily, taking the deepest breath her little lungs could manage, stopped. The scream tore from Marcus's throat as he burst through the door. Lily, don't blow out those candles. The room erupted in chaos. Lily gasped, her breath catching mid-exhale. An Asian nurse, she had to be Nora, lunged for the cake, sweeping it away from the bed. Vivian, perfect in her designer dress and white physician's coat, spun toward him, her face a mask of shock that quickly morphed into something else. Fury? Fear? Marcus? Vivian's voice cut like surgical steel. What in God's name are you doing? You're scaring her. But Marcus only had eyes for his daughter. He crossed the room in 3 strides, gathering Lily's trembling form against his chest. She weighed nothing, like holding a bird. Daddy, her voice was so small, so confused. Did I do something wrong? Vivian said I could make a wish over his daughter's shoulder. Marcus found Nurse Nora's eyes. The woman stood frozen, the cake still in her hands, wax dripping onto the pristine floor. She was young, maybe 32, with intelligent eyes that held a message. You made it in time. There's something wrong with those candles, princess. Marcus whispered into Lily's hair, his voice shaking. We'll get you better ones, I promise. Ones that won't make you sick. Dr. Brennan, the chief pediatrician whose name graced medical journals, stepped forward. His silver beard couldn't hide his confusion. Mr. Caldwell, I assure you, we were simply trying to brighten Lily's day. Your wife thought since you couldn't make it back for her actual birthday. My wife, Marcus said slowly, still cradling Lily, forgot to mention she was planning anything. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Vivian's perfectly manicured nails dug into her palms. You said the Tokyo deal would keep you through November. I was trying to do something nice for our daughter. Our daughter. The words hit wrong. Lily wasn't their daughter. She was his and Sarah's. Sarah, who died when Lily was 3, her car wrapped around a tree on a clear summer day. Mr. Caldwell, Nurse Nora spoke for the first time, her voice steady despite the cake trembling in her hands. Perhaps I should take this away. The smoke might trigger Lily's respiratory issues. Yes, Marcus said quickly. Thank you, Nurse Chen. Nora Chen. She moved toward the door, but as she passed, she pressed something into his hand. A small piece of paper, I'll be at the nurse's station if you need anything at all." As the room emptied, leaving just the three of them, Lily whispered against his chest, "Daddy, why does blowing make me sick? First my birthday candles at home, then the recorder at school, then the bubbles with Camille." Marcus's mind reeled. Blowing. Each incident involved blowing. How had he missed this? "Don't fill her head with patterns that aren't there," Vivian said sharply, smoothing Lily's hair with practiced tenderness. "The mind can play tricks, create connections where none exist." Her gray eyes locked on Marcus's. "Isn't that right, darling? Sometimes terrible things are just coincidences." The heart monitor beeped steadily, counting out the seconds. In his pocket, the paper nurse Nora had given him seemed to burn. Someone in this hospital had discovered something so terrible they'd risk their job to warn him. As he held his daughter closer, feeling her fragile breasts against his neck, Marcus made a silent vow. Whatever was happening to his little girl, whatever secrets these walls held, he would uncover them all, even if it meant his desperate scream today was only the beginning. 3 months before that desperate scream in the hospital, life in the Caldwell mansion had seemed perfect. It was August 15th. And the Connecticut summer blazed outside while inside, the air conditioning kept Lily's birthday party at a comfortable 72 degrees. Marcus remembered it all with painful clarity. Now, how Lily had worn her favorite pink dress with the unicorns. How she laughed as her school friends played pin the tail on the donkey. How Vivian had orchestrated every detail. With her usual precision, the caterers, the magician, the towering 3-tier cake with vanilla buttercream frosting, Make-A-Wish, sweetheart, Vivian had called out, her smartphone camera ready, always documenting, always performing the role of devoted stepmother. 8 candles flickered before Lily's bright eyes. She clasped her hands together, squeezing her eyes shut with that intensity only children possess when making birthday wishes. Then she'd taken that deep breath, the biggest her little lungs could manage, and blown with all her might. The candles went out, but so did Lily. One moment she was smiling, smoke wisping from the extinguished candles. The next, she crumpled, like a marionette with cut strings. Her head hit the table, scattering plates. Children screamed. Parents gasped. But it was Marcus who reached her first, gathering her unconscious form while Vivian called 911 with eerie calm. "She's breathing," Vivian had announced, her fingers on Lily's pulse. Steady heartbeat. "She just fainted." The pediatric neurologist at Greenwich Hospital, Dr. Patricia Kumar, had run every test imaginable, EEG, MRI, blood work, cardiac monitoring. Everything came back normal. Vasovagal syncope, she'd finally declared. Some children faint in response to certain triggers. She'll likely outgrow it, but Vivian had insisted on a second opinion. Enter Dr. Harrison Whitfield from Yale, then Dr. Monica Chan from Mount Sinai. Each had their theories, none conclusive. Through it all, Vivian had been the perfect advocate, driving to appointments, taking meticulous notes, adjusting her own patient schedule to accommodate Lily's needs. Marcus had been in Singapore when the second incident occurred, September 22nd, according to Vivian's detailed email. Music class at Fairfield Country Day School. Mrs. Henderson had just handed out new recorders for the union on wind instruments. She'd been so excited, Vivian's email read. "You know how she loves music, but the moment she blew into that recorder, and I mean the very first note, she collapsed again. The teacher said it was like someone had flipped a switch. This time, the hospitalization lasted 2 days. More tests, more worried consultations. Dr. Kumar adjusted her diagnosis, perhaps a rare form of breath-holding spell, though unusual. For her age, Vivian had suggested keeping Lily home from school just until we figure this out. She'd arranged for a private tutor, interviewed caregivers with medical backgrounds, transformed their home into a protective bubble. Marcus, drowning in the complexities of the Tokyo merger, had agreed. What else could he do from 5,000 miles away? The third incident should have been impossible. October 10th. A quiet afternoon in their garden, Indian summer painting the leaves gold and crimson. Camille Dubois, the new French au pair, had thought bubble play would be safe, gentle, calming. "Monsieur, I swear to you," Camille had sobbed over the international call, her accent thick with tears. She barely blew, just the smallest puff to make one tiny bubble. Then she fell, right there on the grass. I tried to catch her, but Vivian's report had been more clinical. Lily lost consciousness for approximately 90 seconds. After attempting to blow bubbles, Camille failed to follow the safety protocols I'd established. I've had to let her go. She was negligent, Vivian had explained when Marcus questioned the firing. I specifically told her about Lily's condition, no activities involving forced exhalation. How hard is that to understand? But Camille had tried to reach Marcus 3 times after her dismissal. He'd been in back-to-back meetings, had meant to call her back. Now, sitting in this hospital room, watching his daughter sleep, he wondered what the au pair had wanted to tell him. The pattern was so clear now, so obvious. How had he missed it? Every incident involved the same action, blowing out air with force. Birthday candles, recorder, bubbles. Each time, Vivian had been there within minutes, taking charge, managing the crisis with remarkable composure. She's getting worse, Vivian had said during their last call before Lily's hospitalization. I think we need to consider more aggressive treatment options. There's an experimental program at Johns Hopkins. But Marcus had finally said no. He was coming home. The Yamamoto deal could wait. His daughter COULD in single quotes T. Now, studying the notes Nurse Nora had slipped him. His hands trembled. Written in hurried pen. Check her blood work from September 22nd. Compare potassium levels to October 10th. Then look at what medications were prescribed each time. The pattern isn't in what she does. It's in what's done to her. Through the window, he watched Vivian at the nurse's station, her white coat pristine, her smile perfect as she chatted with Dr. Brennan. She'd been at the hospital within 15 minutes of each collapse, always prepared, always in control. The au pair's words echoed in his memory, something Camille had said that hadn't registered at the time. Madam Vivian, she always knows. Before it happens, she knows. Marcus pulled out his phone, scrolling through his contacts. Camille Dubois. He pressed call, his heart hammering. 3 rings, 4. Then, a whispered voice. Monsieur Caldwell. Oh, thank God. I'd have been trying to reach you, your daughter. She is in terrible danger. It is not what you think. Madam Vivian. On the mornings when Lily gets sick, she always gives her special vitamins, only on those mornings. I saw the pattern. I tried to tell her, but she fired me. Please, you must believe. The line went dead. When Marcus tried to call back, the number was disconnected. Outside Lily's room, Vivian's heels clicked down the hallway, returning. Marcus quickly pocketed his phone, his mind racing. The pattern wasn't invisible anymore. It had been hidden, in plain sight, orchestrated by someone who knew exactly when and how each incident would occur. Someone who'd been there every single time. Someone he'd trusted with his daughter's life. Nora Chan had been a pediatric nurse for 10 years, but she'd never felt fear like this. Standing at her station at 2 a.m., she reviewed Lily Caldwell's charts for the 100th time, her hands trembling slightly as she turned the pages. She'd been assigned to Lily 2 weeks ago. When the girl arrived barely conscious, special patient, Dr. Brennan had said. Dr. Caldwell specifically requested our best nurse, Dr. Vivian Caldwell. The woman commanded respect at St. Catherine's, board member, renowned pediatrician, generous donor. But something was wrong. Deeply, terrifyingly wrong. It started with small observations. Vivian always visited alone, always during shift changes when fewer staff were around. She'd dismiss other nurses, insisting on private time with her stepdaughter. Normal enough, except for what Nora saw through the door's window. Vivian administering injections that never appeared in the medical records. Just vitamins, Vivian had said when Nora questioned her. Lily has special needs. I'm sure you understand. But Nora didn't understand. She understood proper protocol. She understood documentation, and she understood that whatever Vivian was injecting made Lily's breathing shallow and labored exactly 23 minutes later. Tonight, Nora had done something that could end her career. She'd hidden a small camera in a tissue box angled perfectly at Lily's report. What she captured made her sick, Vivian injecting a clear substance while whispering, "Just a little longer, sweetheart. Mommy's almost done." The previous nurses, where were they now? Martinez, transferred to night shift in geriatrics after questioning Vivian's treatments. Sarah Kim, suddenly relocated to the hospital's satellite clinic across town. Rebecca Jones, who documented concerns about Lily's vitamin schedule, fired for attendance issues she'd never had. Nora saved everything on an encrypted drive. Photos of the hidden injections, copies of the real medical records versus Vivian's versions, documentation of the 3 nurses who vanished from Lily's care. She'd even recorded Vivian's visit schedule, always 20 minutes before Lily's episodes. "You're playing with fire," Dr. Brennan had warned when she'd approached him. "Dr. Caldwell is above reproach. She saved more children than you've treated. I suggest you focus on your job," but Nora's job was protecting children. And right now, a little girl with strawberry blonde hair in her dead mother's eyes was being slowly, methodically poisoned by the one person who should protect her most. When she'd seen Vivian preparing for the birthday cake ritual, the same woman who banned all exhalation activities, Nora knew this was the end game. Whatever Vivian had been building toward, it would happen tonight. So she'd broken protocol, texted a desperate father, prayed he'd arrive in time. Now, watching Marcus Caldwell hold his daughter like she might disappear, Nora made a decision. Tomorrow, she'd give him everything, the evidence, the recordings, the truth about what happened to the other nurses, even if it cost her everything. Marcus Caldwell hadn't built a $40 million tech company by ignoring patterns. Sitting in his home office at 3 a.m., he spread out every medical report Vivian had ever given him alongside the official hospital records Nora had secretly provided. The discrepancies were staggering. Vivian's version, August 15th, Lily experienced vasovagal syncope following emotional excitement at her party. Treatment, immediate supine positioning, oxygen administration for fluids. Hospital's actual record, patient admitted unconscious. No for access obtained for first star per attending physician's orders. Oxygen delay pending. Special evaluation. His fingers flew across the keyboard, creating the timeline. Every report Vivian had sent him showed immediate, appropriate treatment. Every actual hospital record showed delays, unusual protocols, treatments that made no medical sense. The phone rang. Mason Cross, the private investigator he'd hired just hours ago, didn't bother with pleasantries. "Mr. Caldwell, I've been digging into your wife's background. You need to hear this. Before she was a pediatrician, she had a chemistry degree, specialized in pharmacological compounds, published papers on delayed reaction drug interactions. And get this, her thesis was on how certain combinations of legal medications could create untraceable toxins that activate only under specific conditions." Marcus's blood ran cold, like forced exhalation, exactly like that. The stress of blowing out creates specific blood pressure changes. Combine that with the right pharmaceutical cocktail. Mason paused. "She's been dosing your daughter with something that only becomes toxic when Lily breathes out forcefully. Can you prove it?" "Working on it, but I need more. Any chance you could get me access to your house legally? I need to document everything, her home office, medical supplies, anything suspicious." Marcus thought of Lily, sleeping safely in the hospital under Nora's vigilant watch. "I'm the homeowner. You have my full permission to investigate. But there's more. Vivian always seems to know when these episodes will happen. She's there within minutes, sometimes before anyone even calls her. Hidden cameras," Mason said immediately. "I'll sweep your house. But Mr. Caldwell, if she's been watching your daughter, planning these attacks, we need to be very careful. This isn't just medical malpractice. This is attempted murder." Marcus's laptop chimed. A new email from an unknown address. The subject line read, "You need to see this. C.D. Camille Dubois, the au pair who tried to warn him." The email contained a single video file. Marcus clicked play, his heart hammering. It was kitchen security footage from October 10th, the day of the bubble incident. The timestamp showed 7:23 a.m. There was Vivian, crushing pills into powder, mixing them into orange juice, special vitamins, she'd called them. But the video showed her checking her watch repeatedly, timing something. At 7:31 exactly, she gave the juice to Lily. "Drink it all, sweetheart. Then you can play with Camille in the garden." The video jumped to 11:47 a.m. Vivian on her phone in the hallway. "Have the ambulance ready, but don't dispatch until I call. It should happen within the next 15 minutes. "Yes, I'm sure." The compound activates precisely for hours and 23 minutes after ingestion. Triggered by forceful exhalation, Marcus paused the video, his hands shaking. For hours and 23 minutes from 7:31 a.m. was 11:54 a.m. According to Camille's original report, Lily had collapsed at 11:55 a.m., 1 minute after Vivian predicted. He called Mason back, installed cameras everywhere, hidden ones. Get audio too. And Mason, give me a court order for her laboratory. She has a private lab where she develops pediatric supplements. I need to know what she's been making there. On it. But Marcus, if she realizes we're onto her, she won't. I'll play the devoted husband. Grateful she saved our daughter once again. Let her think she's won. His voice hardened. How long until you can get me enough evidence for an arrest? Give me 72 hours. Can you keep Lily safe that long? Marcus thought of Nora, standing guard like an angel in scrubs. She's not leaving that hospital, and neither am I. One more thing, Mason added. I found something odd in the public records. Your first wife's accident. Vivian was the attending physician when Sarah arrived at there. She called time of death. Small world, how to small, Marcus thought, staring at the paused video of his second wife calculating the exact moment his daughter would stop breathing. Way to small. Through his office window, dawn was breaking over Connecticut, somewhere in her perfect house. Vivian was probably planning her next move, confident in her control. She had no idea that her every move was about to be watched, recorded, documented. The hunter was about to become the hunted, and Marcus would make sure she never got close to Lily again. Chapter for ends minus 4,998 characters. This chapter introduces the investigation angle, reveals Vivian's calculated timing of the attacks, and shows how technology will be used to expose her. The video evidence from Camille provides concrete proof of premeditation. The storage unit hadn't been opened in 5 years. Marcus stood before the metal door, key trembling in his hand, while Mason Cross waited beside him with a small camera. You sure you want to do this? Mason asked gently. Marcus nodded. After seeing that video of Vivian calculating Lily's collapse, he had to know, had to understand if Sarah's death was really the beginning of this nightmare. The door rolled up with a metallic groan. Inside, boxes of Sarah's belongings sat like tombstones, covered in dust. Her wedding dress, photo albums, and there, in the corner, a small fireproof safe he'd forgotten existed. Sarah's journal was on top. Her handwriting, loopy and cheerful, made his chest tight. He flipped to the final entries. 3 weeks before her death, May 3rd, had another dizzy spell at the hospital today. The resident, Dr. Vivian Reeves, was there again. She's always watching me, like she's waiting for something. It's probably just pregnancy paranoia, but something about her makes me uncomfortable. May 10th, Vivian offered to be my backup op. Said she'd be honored to help deliver Marcus's baby if Dr. Patterson wasn't available. The way she said Marcus's baby felt weird. Not your baby or the baby, Marcus's baby. Like I wasn't even part of the equation. May 18th, can't shake this feeling. Vivian knows things about our schedule she shouldn't. Yesterday she mentioned Marcus's favorite restaurant before I'd ever told her. She knew about the house in the Hamptons, about his mother's maiden name. Am I going crazy, or is she studying us? Marcus's hand shook as he turned the page. The final entry was dated May 24th, the day Sarah died. Feeling strange all morning. Took those prenatal vitamins Vivian gave me. She said they were better than my regular ones. Free samples from a drug rep, she said, heading to lunch with Mom. If anything happens to me, tell Marcus I love him. Tell him to protect our baby. And tell him to watch out for that woman. She looks at him like he's already hers. Jesus Christ, Mason breathed, reading over his shoulder. But there was more. Beneath the journal lay a manila envelope marked important police evidence. Inside, photos from the accident scene. The brake line, clearly severed. Notes from the investigating officer, suspicious circumstances. Husband has alibi in meeting with 20 witnesses. No other suspects identified. Case closed pending new evidence. And at the bottom, a copy of their admission form. Attending physician, Dr. Vivian Reeves. She was supposed to be off that day. Marcus whispered, remembering. She just happened to be at the hospital when they brought Sarah in. Said she was catching up on paperwork. Mason was already on his phone. I need everything on a Dr. Vivian Reeves from 5 years ago. Employment records, schedule, everything. What do you mean the files were destroyed? Hospital fire. When? 2 months after Sarah died. Marcus said hollowly. Vivian was so upset. Lost all her research, she said. Had to rebuild her career from scratch. I felt sorry for her. They found more in the safe. Sarah's medical records from her pregnancy, including blood work from the weeks before her death. Mason photographed everything. I'll have an independent lab run comparisons. if Vivian was dosing her with something. She was playing the long game, Marcus said, understanding flooding through him like ice water. Kill Sarah, comfort the grieving widower, become the stepmother. But Lily looks exactly like her mother, Mason finished, every day a reminder of the woman she murdered. In the corner of the storage unit, an old laptop caught Marcus's eye. Sarah's personal computer, the one she used for her blog. He'd never had the heart to look at it after she died. Can you get into this? He asked Mason. Give me 10 minutes. It took 7. Sarah's blog drafts appeared on screen, including one she'd never published. Date of the morning she died. Dear readers, I need your advice. There's a woman who seems obsessed with my husband. She's a doctor at my hospital, and I'm starting to think she might be dangerous. She knows things about our life that she shouldn't. She watches us. Yesterday, I caught her in the parking garage near our car. Am I being paranoid, or should I be worried? What would you do? Below the draft, Sarah had uploaded a photo. It showed Vivian in the hospital parking garage, crouched beside a car, their car. The timestamp was 6:47 a.m., May 24th. For hours before Sarah's brakes failed. We've got her. Mason said grimly, this is premeditation. This is murder. Marcus stared at his first wife's words, her fears, her instincts that had been so tragically accurate. Sarah had known. Somehow, she'd known. She gave Sarah prenatal vitamins, Marcus said slowly. Free samples, just like she gives Lily special vitamins. Same pattern, 5 years apart. His phone buzzed. Nora, Mr. Caldwell, your wife just arrived. At the hospital, she's demanding to take Lily for specialized testing at her private facility. I'm stalling, but I need you here now. Marcus grabbed the journal and laptop. She's making her move. As they raced back to the hospital, Sarah's final words echoed in his mind. Tell him to protect our baby. I'm sorry I failed you the first time, Marcus whispered to his dead wife's ghost. But I swear, I won't let her take Lily too. The woman who'd orchestrated Sarah's death had been sleeping beside him for 4 years, raising their daughter, slowly poisoning her. But Sarah had left them a gift, the truth, waiting in a dusty storage unit. Now it was time to use it. Nora Chen's hand shook as she handed Ethan Park the coffee she brought him. The young pharmacy tech worked night shifts, and most nurses ignored him. But Nora had been cultivating this friendship for a reason. Ethan, I need your help, she whispered, glancing around the empty pharmacy. It's about the Caldwell girl. His face went pale. I can't. Dr. Caldwell said if anyone asked about her prescriptions, children are dying. Ethan. Nora pulled out her phone, showing him photos she'd taken. Look at these requisitions. Propoxina B. You know what that's for. Severe epilepsy. But Lily Caldwell doesn't have. Exactly. And look at the amounts. This is 10 times the pediatric dose. Combined with the catalysador compound, it causes temporary respiratory paralysis, triggered by physical stress, like blowing out candles. Ethan's hands trembled as he accessed his computer. I wondered why she needed so much, but she's Dr. Caldwell. She's on the board. She said it was for research. Show me everything. The pharmacy records were damning. Vivian had been requisitioning Propoxina B for months, always just under the amount that would trigger mandatory review. But it was the other purchases that made Nora's blood run cold. Potassium modulators, cardiac inhibitors, neuromuscular blockers. Ethan read, Jesus. These combinations, they're not therapeutic. They're weapons. Nora finished. Print everything. Now, as the printer hummed, Ethan pulled up another screen. There's more. She has a delicensed laboratory, personal research facility. She can synthesize compounds there, modify existing drugs. Look at these shipping records. The list was extensive. Chemical precursors, synthesis equipment, everything. Needed to create undetectable poisons. 3 other kids, Ethan whispered suddenly, before Lily. I remember now. Similar symptoms. They all died. Dr. Caldwell was their physician. The families, they moved away after. Said it was too painful to stay. Nora felt sick. Names. I need names. Emma Rodriguez, age 7. Died 2 years ago. Sudden respiratory failure. Michael Chen, age 9. 3 years ago. Unexplained cardiac event. Rebecca Thompson, age 6, 4 years ago. Severe allergic reaction, all treated by Dr. Caldwell. All receive experimental therapies. Oh my God. She's been practicing. perfecting her method. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Vivian's voice, sharp and commanding. I specifically ordered those medications for transport. Where's the pharmacy tech? Ethan shoved the printed papers at Nora. Go. Backstairs. Now. Nora ran, clutching the evidence. 3 dead children. Sarah Caldwell, and Lily was supposed to be next. But not on Nora's watch. Not anymore. She burst into Lily's room, where Marcus waited. Mr. Caldwell. It's worse than we thought. She's done this before. Multiple times. Marcus read the papers, his face going ashen. We need the FBI. Now. Through the window, they watched. Vivian stormed into the pharmacy, her perfect composure cracking. She knew someone was onto her. The hunter was becoming desperate, and desperate predators were the most dangerous of all. Chapter 6 ends -2. 997 characters. This condensed chapter reveals Vivian's history of murdered children and her sophisticated drug laboratory while maintaining the tension of her arriving at the hospital. The partnership between Nora and Ethan provides crucial evidence. Mason Cross sat in the crowded Starbucks on Madison Avenue, his directional microphone hidden inside a newspaper, 20 feet away. Vivian Caldwell met with her attorney, Diana Marsh, at a corner table. The lunch crowd provided perfect cover. The father's becoming a problem, Vivian said, her voice crystal clear through Mason's earpiece. He's asking questions, demanding second opinions. I need you to accelerate the custody paperwork. Diana Marsh, a silver-haired woman known for her brutal efficiency, shifted uncomfortably. Vivian, we've discussed this, without grounds for removal. He's been absent for 3 months. I'd have documentation showing he chose work over his dying daughter. Multiple missed medical appointments. Nora Chen will testify to his erratic behavior yesterday. Well, from what I hear, Nurse Chen isn't exactly your ally. Vivian's laugh was ice. Nora won't be a problem much longer. I've already spoken to human resources about her. Inappropriate interest in my stepdaughter. Boundary violations. Unprofessional conduct. She'll be gone by week's end. Mason adjusted his equipment, ensuring every word was captured. This was gold. Vivian, Diana's voice dropped. I need to ask you something as your attorney and friend. Lily's inheritance from her mother. $50 million in trust. That's a lot of money. Money I've never touched. Vivian replied smoothly. Every penny managed by court-appointed trustees. My concern is Lily's health, not her wealth. What if something were to happen to her? Don't. Vivian's voice turned sharp. My stepdaughter is seriously ill. The experimental treatments aren't working. If we lose her, I'll be devastated. As her surviving guardian, yes, I'd oversee the trust until I could establish a proper memorial fund. Sarah would want her money to help other sick children. Diana set down her coffee cup with a decisive click. I can't do this. Excuse me, Vivian. I've been your attorney for 6 years. I've watched you maneuver through the hospital politics, seen you handle difficult cases. But something's not right here. How dare you? That little girl's mother died in a car accident shortly after meeting you. Now the child herself is mysteriously ill with symptoms no one can explain. And you're sitting here planning for her death while asking me to remove her father from the picture. Vivian's voice dropped to a whisper that made Mason's blood run cold. Be very careful, Diana. You know what I'm capable of. The Bar Association would be very interested in your creative accounting for the Morrison estate. One phone call, and your career ends. Are you threatening me? I'm reminding you of your obligations. Attorney-client privilege is sacred. Everything we've discussed stays between us. Now, will you file the emergency custody papers or not? A long pause, then Diana's defeated voice. The papers will be ready tomorrow. May God forgive me. God has nothing to do with this, Vivian replied. Just make sure the judge understands. Marcus Caldwell is an unfit father who abandoned his dying daughter. I'm the only one who can save her now. Mason watched through his hidden camera as Vivian stood to leave. She paused beside Diana's chair. Oh, and Diana, if you're thinking of warning Marcus, remember, I know where your grandchildren go to school. Such a dangerous world for children these days. So many accidents waiting to happen. After Vivian left, Mason maintained his position, watching Diana Marsh sit frozen, tears streaming down her face. Finally, she pulled out her phone with shaking hands. James, it's Mom. I want you to take the kids and visit your father in Toronto today. No, don't ask questions. Just go, please. Mason packed up his equipment and headed for his car. He had everything: the threats, the admission about the trust fund, the revelation about other victims. But it was the casual mention of targeting children that would seal Vivian's fate. His phone rang. "Marcus, tell me you got something." "I got everything," Mason replied, "including her threatening her own lawyer's grandchildren." "Marcus, she's not just evil. She's escalating, getting sloppy. Desperate people make mistakes, but they also do desperate things. How fast can you get this to the FBI?" "Already uploading to my contact at the Bureau." "But Marcus, she mentioned filing emergency custody papers tomorrow. If a judge signs those, she'll have legal authority to take Lily anywhere, including her private lab." Mason started his car. "I'm heading back to the hospital now. Whatever happens, don't let Lily out of your sight. We're close, but Vivian's closer to her endgame than we thought." As he drove, Mason couldn't shake the image of Diana Marsh's terrified face. How many others had Vivian threatened into silence? How many knew the truth, but were too frightened to speak? Tomorrow, the custody hearing, but tonight, they had her confession on tape. The question was, would it be enough to stop her in time? The conference room at St. Catherine's Hospital smelled of burnt coffee and determination. Marcus sat at the head of the table, surrounded by an unlikely alliance that had formed in less than 48 hours. Each face told a story of courage. In the face of evil, Dr. Harrison Frost entered last, his silver beard neatly trimmed, his eyes sharp despite his 72 years. The retired FBI toxicologist set down a leather briefcase with hands that had solved over 300 poisoning cases. "Mr. Caldwell," he began, his voice carrying the weight of authority, "I've reviewed everything you've sent. The blood work, the patterns, the pharmaceutical requisitions." He paused, removing his glasses to clean them, a gesture Marcus would learn meant bad news was coming. "Your daughter is being systematically poisoned with a sophistication I've rarely seen." Nora leaned forward, her scrubs wrinkled from another sleepless night guarding Lily. "Can you prove it in court?" "Better than that," Frost replied, opening his briefcase. "I can predict exactly what she'll do next." He spread out chemical formulas, toxicology reports, and a timeline that made everyone in the room catch their breath. "Vivian's using a cumulative protocol. Each dose builds on the last, creating tolerance while simultaneously weakening specific neural pathways. The final dose, what she calls 8A, would appear to be a natural death from her pre-existing condition." Mason Cross, still running on adrenaline from his surveillance work, added, "The custody hearing is tomorrow at 2 p.m. If she gets legal guardianship, she won't," interrupted Jackson Hayes, the prosecutor who'd arrived 15 minutes ago after listening to Mason's recordings. At 38, Hayes had the lean look of a marathon runner and the reputation of a pit bull in court. "Judge Patricia Thornton owes me a favor. We clerked together 20 years ago. She'll delay the hearing once she sees this evidence." "Can we arrest Vivian now?" Marcus asked, his voice raw with exhaustion and fear. Hayes shook his head. "We need her to attempt the final dose. Attempted murder carries more weight than conspiracy to commit. But don't worry, we'll have teams in place. The moment she makes her move, we've got her." Dr. Frost pulled out a vial from his briefcase. "This is the antidote. I've synthesized it based on the compounds Ethan documented. If she somehow manages to administer dose 8A, this will counteract it immediately." He handed it to Nora. "Keep this with you at all times. Lily's life may depend." On seconds, the door opened and Diana Marsh entered, her face pale but determined. The room tensed. Vivian's attorney was the last person they expected. "I'm here to help," she said quickly, raising her hands. "I've sent my family away," Vivian threatened. "My grandchildren, but I won't be part of murdering a child." She placed a thick folder on the table. "Everything's here. Her real medical degree is in chemistry, not pediatrics. The pediatric certification was obtained through a diploma mill. In the Caribbean, she's been practicing medicine illegally for 7 years." Marcus felt the room spin. "She's not even a real doctor." "Oh, she's brilliant," Diana continued. "Genius-level intellect. But she never completed residency, failed the psychological evaluation. The examiner noted severe antisocial tendencies, an inability to form emotional connections. She's been faking it all this time." Ethan spoke up from his corner, laptop open. "I've been tracking the other families. The 3 children who died. All their parents received settlements from anonymous benefactors shortly after the funerals. payments that trace back to accounts. Vivian controlled hush money. Hayes muttered, taking notes. She paid them to disappear. Dr. Frost stood, his presence commanding attention. We have less than 24 hours. Vivian's pattern suggests she'll make her move before the custody hearing. She needs Lily gone before any judge can intervene. He looked directly at Marcus. Your daughter's birthday is tomorrow, isn't it? Marcus nodded, his throat tight. She turns 9. Then that's when Vivian will strike. Another birthday tragedy. The grieving stepmother who lost her precious girl on the same day she lost her a year ago. Frost's expression was grim. It's psychologically satisfying for killers. Like her, symbolic. Like hell, Nora said fiercely. I'll be with Lily every second. No one gets near her without going through me. Jackson Hayes stood, gathering the evidence. I'll have arrest warrants ready within hours. Attempted murder, fraud, practicing medicine. Without a license and conspiracy, we'll also reopen Sarah Caldwell's case. He looked at Marcus. Your wife's death was not an accident. We'll prove it. As the meeting broke up, each member of this unlikely team knew their role. Frost would monitor from the lab, ready with antidotes. Hayes would handle the legal machinery. Mason would coordinate surveillance. Diana would document everything for the prosecution. Ethan would watch the pharmacy for any suspicious requisitions. And at the center of it all, Nora would stand guard over a little girl who had no idea she was surrounded by guardian angels. Thank you, Marcus said quietly as people filed out. All of you. Dr. Frost paused at the door. Mr. Caldwell, I've hunted monsters in human form for 50 years. Vivian is among the worst. But she made one mistake. She underestimated the power of people who care. He smiled grimly. Tomorrow, we end this. As Marcus headed back to Lily's room, he thought about the network that had formed around his daughter, strangers who'd become heroes, each risking careers, safety, even their lives to save a child they barely knew. Vivian had planned for everything, except for this, the fundamental human instinct to protect the innocent. Tomorrow would bring the final battle, but tonight, Lily was surrounded by an army of protectors and angels. Marcus had learned. Sometimes wore scrubs and carried briefcases full of antidotes. The federal courthouse in downtown Hartford buzzed with unusual activity for 6 a.m. Judge Patricia Thornton, still in her running clothes from her morning jog, reviewed the emergency warrant application with growing horror. Across from her desk, Jackson Hayes laid out piece after damning piece of evidence. Your Honor, Hayes said, his voice steady despite the exhaustion pulling at his features. We need search warrants for Dr. Vivian Caldwell's private laboratory, her home, and complete access to her financial records. We also need a restraining order preventing her from coming within 500 feet of Lily Caldwell. Judge Thornton, a small woman with steel gray hair and eyes that had seen too much in her 23 years on the bench, studied the toxicology reports. This child is currently in the hospital. Under 24-hour guard, Hayes confirmed, we have credible intelligence that Dr. Caldwell plans to administer a lethal dose today. Lily's 9th birthday. The judge's pen moved swiftly across the documents. Warrants granted, all of them. She looked up, her expression grave. Jackson, I'm also issuing a judicial override on the custody hearing. No change in guardianship will be considered while criminal charges are pending. As Hayes gathered the signed warrants, FBI Special Agent Rachel Torres entered the judge's chambers. At 41, Torres specialized in medical serial killers, a niche expertise that made her perfect for this case. We've been monitoring the lab, Torres reported. Vivian entered at 4:47 a.m. Our thermal imaging shows her working with chemical compounds. She's preparing something. Judge Thornton stood. Then why aren't you arresting her? We need her to take it to the hospital, Hayes explained. Possession of chemicals isn't enough. But the moment she enters that building with the intent to harm Lily Caldwell, we have attempted murder. The judge's face was troubled. You're using a child as bait. The child is never in danger, Torres assured her. We have undercover agents, positioned as janitors, visitors, even patients, the second Vivian enters that hospital. She's surrounded, meanwhile, at St. Catherine's Hospital. The trap was being set with meticulous precision. Marcus sat in Lily's room, playing the role of exhausted father while his eyes tracked every movement in the corridor. Lily was awake now, coloring in a princess book, blissfully unaware of the danger circling her. Daddy, she said, looking up with those green eyes that were so like Sarah's. Is today really my birthday? It doesn't feel like it in here. It is. Sweetheart. And tomorrow, when you're feeling better, we'll have the biggest party ever. Just you and me and all your friends. Will Vivian come? Lily asked. And Marcus had to fight to keep his expression neutral. I don't think so, Princess. She's very busy today. Nora entered with a breakfast tray, but Marcus caught the slight bulge in her scrub pocket. Dr. Frost's antidote, ready if needed. She'd also brought something else. Hidden beneath Lily's pancakes, a tiny earpiece for Marcus. Morning update. Ethan's voice crackled through as soon as Marcus fitted it in place. Vivian just logged into the hospital system remotely. She's checking staff schedules, looking for gaps in coverage. In her lab across town, Vivian worked with practiced efficiency. The syringe labeled Dose 8A Final was filled with a clear liquid that had taken her months to perfect, undetectable in standard toxicology screens. It would trigger massive respiratory failure when combined with the elevated CO2 levels. From blowing out candles, she placed the syringe in a temperature-controlled case, then checked her appearance in the mirror. Every hair in place, white coat pristine. The picture of a devoted stepmother coming to wish her daughter happy birthday. Her phone buzzed. Diana Marsh, emergency custody hearing postponed. Judge wants additional documentation. Vivian's face contorted with rage. She hurled a beaker against the wall, watching it shatter. No matter. By the time any judge convened, Lily would be gone. A tragic birthday death. The grieving stepmother inheriting everything as the sole surviving guardian. Back at the hospital, the net was tightening. FBI agents in various disguises took their positions. Maria Santos, dressed as a cleaning lady, mopped the same stretch of hallway for the third time. David Chen sat in a wheelchair near the elevator, playing the role of patient awaiting discharge. Sarah Williams occupied the nurse's station, her FBI badge hidden beneath borrowed scrubs. Jackson Hayes coordinated from a mobile command unit in the parking garage. All units. Suspect is leaving the lab. White Mercedes, license plate. Dr. Frost sat beside him, the chemical analysis spread before him. She'll have prepared it as a slow-release formula, he explained to Hayes. Gives her time to establish an alibi. She'll inject it, leave, and be somewhere public when Lily crashes. Not this time, Hayes said grimly. He pressed his radio. All units, be advised, the moment she produces a syringe, we move. Don't wait for her to get close to the child. In room 307, Marcus held his daughter's hand as she drew another princess. His phone showed a text from Mason. She's 5 minutes out. Nora, he said quietly, it's time. The nurse nodded, moving to adjust Lily's for with practice movements that also allowed her to palm the antidote. Vial, whatever happened next, they were ready. The elevators chimed. Footsteps echoed in the hallway, the distinctive click of Vivian's designer heels. Marcus felt every muscle tense as the shadow appeared outside their door. The handle turned. Vivian entered with a brilliant smile and a birthday cake, but FBI agent Torres was already moving. Speaking into her radio, all units stand by. Suspect has entered the room. Wait for my signal. The final confrontation was seconds away. Chapter 9 ends -5. 893 characters. This chapter sets up the legal framework and FBI trap, while building tremendous tension as Vivian arrives at the hospital. All the pieces are in place for the dramatic confrontation. Happy birthday, my darling, Vivian cooed, setting the cake on the bedside table. 9 candles flickered innocently. I brought your favorite, chocolate with strawberry filling. Marcus forced a smile. That's thoughtful, Vivian, but the doctors said no excitement today. Nonsense. Her gray eyes glinted. A girl only turns 9 once, and I have a special present. She reached into her coat pocket. Actually, Dr. Caldwell. Nora stepped forward. There's been a change. Dr. Frost is Lily's attending physician now. He wants to examine her before any birthday celebrations. Vivian's hand froze in her pocket. Dr. Frost? I've never heard of him. I'll need to verify this with Dr. Brennan. No need, came a voice from the doorway. Judge Thornton entered, flanked by the security guards. I'm here with a court order. Dr. Harrison Frost has been appointed as independent medical examiner for Lily Caldwell. You're to have no further contact with this patient. The mask finally slipped. Vivian's face contorted with rage. You can't do this. I'm her mother, stepmother. Marcus corrected quietly, and not for much longer. This is ridiculous. I'm calling my lawyer. Vivian pulled out her phone, but her hands were shaking now. Ms. Marsh is currently in FBI custody. Judge Thornton informed her. She's been very cooperative, particularly about your fraudulent medical credentials. The color drained from Vivian's face. Through the earpiece, Marcus heard Torres. She's reaching for the syringe. All units prepare to, Lily, blow out your candles. Vivian suddenly screamed, lunging for the cake, but Nora was faster. She swept the cake away as FBI agents flooded the room. Vivian pulled the syringe from her pocket, desperation making her careless. She aimed for Lily's IV port. Get down, Torres shouted. Marcus threw himself over his daughter as agents tackled Vivian. The syringe flew from her hand, its deadly contents spraying harmlessly against the wall. No, Vivian shrieked as handcuffs clicked around her wrists. She was supposed to die, just like her mother. The money is mine. I earned it. I planned everything perfectly. That's a full confession, Hayes said, entering with his recorder. Vivian Caldwell, you're under arrest for attempted murder, practicing medicine without a license, and fraud. You have the right to remain silent. As they dragged her away, Vivian's eyes locked on Lily one last time. You have your mother's eyes, she hissed. I hated seeing them every single day that she was gone. Lily clung to Marcus, tears streaming. Daddy, why did Vivian want to hurt me? Because she's sick, baby, but you're safe now, forever. Dr. Frost entered, kneeling beside the bed. Hello, Lily, I'm going to help you feel better. No more special vitamins, no more feeling sick, just regular little girl stuff from now on. Through the window, Marcus watched them load Vivian into an FBI van. The woman who killed his wife, who tried to kill his daughter, was finally in chains. Mr. Caldwell, Nora said softly, it's over. He hugged Lily tighter. After 5 years of deception, 3 months of terror, and 48 hours of frantic preparation, the nightmare was finally ending. His daughter was safe. 3 hours after her arrest, Vivian Caldwell sat in the interrogation room like a caged predator. Her designer clothes were wrinkled, her perfect hair mussed, but her eyes remained cold and calculating. My client has nothing to say, her court-appointed attorney announced. The young public defender looked terrified. Jackson Hayes leaned back, unfazed. She doesn't need to talk. Diana Marsh already told us everything. The fake medical degree, the 3 dead children, Sarah Caldwell's murder, lies. Vivian spat. Diana's protecting herself. Check her finances. She embezzled from estates. I have proof. You mean these fabricated documents? Agent Torres dropped a folder on the table. Our forensic accountants traced them back to your computer. You were setting her up as a fall guy. Vivian's composure cracked. You don't understand. Marcus was mine. I saw him first, at that medical conference 8 years ago. Sarah didn't deserve him. Pretty, pampered princess who'd never worked a day in her life. So you killed her, Hayes stated. I freed him, Vivian corrected, from a woman who spent his money on charity galas while I was building a career. I could have been his equal, his partner. But that brat, her face twisted, every day, those green eyes judging me. Sarah's ghost living in my house. The attorney tried to stop her, but Vivian was beyond caring. Do you know how hard it was? Playing mommy to that child, pretending to care when all I wanted was what should have been mine. The money, the status, the life Sarah stole from me. So you decided to kill Lily, Torres said. I decided to complete what I started. One family, one fortune, one survivor, me. She laughed bitterly. I even had the memorial planned. The Vivian Caldwell Center for Pediatric Research, funded by poor Lily's trust. I would have helped so many children by killing them first, Hayes asked. Vivian's eyes went flat. The 3 who died were charity cases. No families, no futures. Their deaths funded research that would have saved thousands. Research conducted in your illegal lab with fraudulent credentials. My credentials are irrelevant. My mind is brilliant. I created compounds your FDA scientists couldn't dream of. She slammed her hands on the table. I am a visionary. You're a serial killer. Torres said quietly, and you're going to die in prison. The reality finally hit. Vivian slumped in her chair. It was perfect. Every dose calculated, every reaction predicted. How did you know? Nurse Nora Chan, the one person you couldn't buy, threaten, or fire fast enough. Vivian's face contorted. That stupid girl. I should have killed her first. That's another confession, Hayes noted for the recording. conspiracy to commit murder of a witness. As they led her away, Vivian turned one last time. Tell Marcus, I really did love him. In my own way. No, Torres replied. You love what he represented. What he could give you, you're incapable of real love. Back at the hospital, Marcus got the call from Hayes. She confessed to everything. Sarah, the children, planning to kill Nora. Life without parole. Guaranteed. Marcus closed his eyes, finally able to breathe. In her bed, Lily was sitting up for the first time in days. Her color already better without Vivian's poisons. Daddy, can we have my real birthday party now? Yes, Princess, the biggest, best party ever. Justice had one, but somewhere in a federal holding cell, a brilliant monster sat planning appeals she'd never win, dreaming of murder she'd never commit, raging against the child whose eyes reminded her of everything she'd never have. The Caldwell family nightmare was over. Vivian's was just beginning. The federal courtroom was packed. 6 months of investigation had led to this moment. Vivian Caldwell sat at the defense table, her orange jumpsuit a stark contrast to the designer clothes she once wore. The prosecution calls Dr. Harrison Frost, Jackson Hayes announced. The veteran toxicologist took the stand, carrying boxes of evidence. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I've analyzed tissue samples from Sarah Caldwell's remains. She was poisoned with the same compound found in Lily Caldwell's blood, a synthetic neurotoxin that only Dr. Caldwell could have created. The jury gasped. Marcus gripped Nora's hand in the gallery. Furthermore, Frost continued, displaying charts. Hair follicle analysis from the 3 deceased children, Emma Rodriguez, Michael Chen, and Rebecca Thompson, shows identical poisoning patterns. For murders, 1 attempted murder, spanning 5 years. Vivian's attorney tried to object, but the evidence was overwhelming. The prosecution calls Thomas Reed. The lab technician who'd helped synthesize the poisons looked terrified. She paid me $50,000, said it was for legitimate research. But when I realized what she was doing, she threatened my daughter, said accidents happened to curious little girls. More witnesses followed, nurses who'd been fired, doctors who'd been silenced, each painting a picture of a woman who'd built an empire on murdered children. The prosecution calls Diana Marsh. Vivian's former attorney took the stand with visible relief. She kept recordings of everything, called it insurance. Here's one from the day before Lily's final birthday. The courtroom heard Vivian's voice. Tomorrow, my stepdaughter tragically dies, and I become the grieving widow managing a $50 million trust. I've waited 5 years for this moment, but the most damning evidence came from an unexpected source. The prosecution calls Camille Dubois. The former au pair had flown in from France. I kept a journal. Every day, I documented what I saw. Madame Vivian giving Lily vitamins only on days when breathing activities were planned, testing how long the effects lasted. She was experimenting on that poor child. Objection. Vivian's lawyer shouted. Hearsay. I have video, Camille said. Quietly, from the nanny cam Mr. Caldwell didn't know about. I installed it to protect myself after she threatened me. The footage showed Vivian measuring doses, timing reactions, taking notes as Lily struggled to breathe. The jury looked sick. Finally, Hayes played the security footage from Sarah's accident. Enhanced by FBI technicians, it clearly showed Vivian under the car at 6:47 a.m., severing the brake line. Ladies and gentlemen, Hayes concluded, Vivian Caldwell is a serial killer who used her medical knowledge to murder for innocent people and attempted to murder a fifth. She killed for money, for status, for the sick pleasure of playing God. The jury deliberated for only 2 hours. Guilty on all counts, the foreman announced. We recommend life without parole, but Judge Thornton went further. Vivian Caldwell, you betrayed the most sacred trusts, that of a doctor, a mother, and a wife. You murdered innocent children. You will serve 5 consecutive life sentences, 1 for each life you tried to steal. As they led her away, Vivian turned to Marcus. Tell Lily No, Marcus said firmly. You don't get to send messages to my daughter. You don't exist to us anymore. Outside the courthouse, Lily waited with Dr. Frost and Ethan. She was healthy. Now, the poisons finally cleared from her system. She ran to her father, and he swept her up in his arms. Is it over? Daddy, it's over. Princess, forever. Justice had been served. The monster was caged, and for the first time in years, the Caldwell family could truly breathe free. In the psychiatric evaluation room at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility, Vivian sat across from Dr. Rachel Moreau, the court-appointed psychiatrist. The guard stood, watch, warned about the prisoner's manipulative nature. Tell me about Sarah. Dr. Moreau said simply. Vivian's lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Beautiful Sarah, Marcus's precious wife. Do you know she complimented my shoes once, said she could never pull off designer heels while pregnant. So humble, so fake. You felt she was fake. Everything about her was performance, the charity work, the devotion to Marcus, even her pregnancy glow. But I saw through it. I saw what she really was, an obstacle. Dr. Moreau made notes. When did you decide to kill her? Decide? Vivian laughed. Doctor, I didn't decide. I simply recognized an opportunity. Her prenatal vitamins were so easy to swap. A little chemistry, a little patience. The break line was just insurance, and the children, Emma, Michael, Rebecca. For the first time, Vivian's expression shifted. They were practice, variables in an experiment. How much compound creates symptoms? How much kills? Each one taught me something valuable. Did you feel anything when they died? Relief. Their suffering ended, and my knowledge grew. Fair trade. Vivian leaned forward. You want to hear remorse? Guilt? I'm not wired that way. Never have been. What about Lily? The name triggered something darker. Sarah's ghost. Every day, those green eyes watching me, judging. Marcus loved her more than me. Everyone did. The sweet little princess who could do no wrong. Her hands clenched. She had to go, but she survived because of that nurse. Nora Chen, another obstacle I underestimated. Vivian's voice turned ice cold. In another life, I would have enjoyed dismantling her slowly, testing new compounds, watching her realize too late what was happening. Dr. Moreau pushed one final button. Do you love Marcus? Love? Vivian tilted her head. I owned him, possessed him, controlled his life for 4 years. Love is for people who feel. I calculate. I acquire. I eliminate obstacles. She smiled again. I suppose that's why I'm here and Sarah's in the ground. She felt. I planned. One last question. If you could do it all again, I'd kill the nurse first, Vivian said without hesitation. Then the child. Quick and clean. No elaborate schemes. Marcus would have been mine within a year. She paused. My only regret is imperfect execution, not the plan itself. Dr. Moreau closed her notebook. Thank you for your honesty. Honesty. Vivian laughed. A sound like breaking glass. Doctor, I'm incapable of dishonesty about this. Lying requires shame. I have none. Those children, Sarah, almost Lily, they were equations to solve. Nothing more. As the guards led her away, Dr. Moreau made her final note. Subject shows complete absence of empathy, remorse, or human connection. Textbook psychopathy with narcissistic features. Recommendation, permanent. Isolation from general population. Subject remains extremely dangerous and wholly unredeemable. In her cell that night, Vivian stared at the ceiling, running calculations in her head. Not escape plans. She was too smart for such fantasies. Instead, she calculated dosages, compounds, scenarios where she'd succeeded. Somewhere outside these walls, Marcus and Lily lived the life that should have been hers. But in her twisted mind, she'd already won. She'd made them remember her forever. And for a psychopath incapable of love, being unforgettable was the closest thing to immortality. 1 year after Vivian's conviction, St. Catherine's Hospital dedicated its new wing, the Sarah Caldwell Center for Pediatric Safety. Marcus stood at the podium, Lily beside him, addressing a crowd of medical professionals, survivors, and families. My wife Sarah tried to warn us, Marcus began, his voice steady. She saw the danger before anyone else. This center will ensure no family suffers what we endured. The center was revolutionary. Mandatory background verification for all medical staff. Cross-reference prescription monitoring. Protection protocols for vulnerable patients. Nora Chen, now Director of Pediatric Nursing, had helped design every safeguard. We've also established the Lily Fund, Marcus continued, providing free toxicology screening for families who suspect medical abuse. Because sometimes the person hurting a child is the one who should protect them most. In the audience, the families of Emma Rodriguez, Michael Chen, and Rebecca Thompson wept quietly. Each had received formal apologies from the hospital and substantial settlements. though nothing could bring their children back. Dr. Harrison Frost, despite retirement, consulted for the center. In 40 years of toxicology, Vivian Caldwell was the most sophisticated killer I encountered. But she taught us something valuable. Evil often wears a white coat and a kind smile. The FBI had uncovered more victims, 17 suspicious deaths, across 3 states over 15 years, all connected to Dr. Victoria Rivers or Dr. Vivian Reeves, Vivian's previous identities. Each family now had answers, closure, and justice. Jackson Hayes, promoted to district attorney, had used the case to push through Lily's Law, mandatory federal database tracking for all medical professionals, making it impossible for frauds like Vivian to practice. But the real victory sat in the front row, healthy and thriving. Lily, now 10, had fully recovered. No more vitamins, no more mysterious illnesses. She played soccer, took piano lessons, and blew out birthday candles. Without fear, Daddy, she'd asked months earlier, why did Vivian pretend to love us? Because some people don't know how to really love, Marcus had explained. They only know how to take. But look at all the people who really loved you, Nora, Dr. Frost, Mr. Hayes. Love always wins, Princess. The ceremony concluded with the unveiling of Sarah's portrait in the center's lobby. Below it, a plaque in memory of Sarah Caldwell and all the children whose voices were silenced. May the center ensure they're heard forever. Camille Dubois had flown in for the dedication. The au pair who risked everything now worked for an international organization protecting children from medical abuse. Your daughter saved countless lives, she told Marcus. Her survival exposed a monster. That evening, the Caldwell home buzzed with celebration. Lily's real birthday party, the one stolen a year ago. Nora, Ethan, Dr. Frost, Mason Cross, even Diana Marsh, now a prosecutor specializing in medical fraud, gathered around. As Lily prepared to blow out 11 candles, make a wish, sweetheart, Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion. Lily closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and blew with all her might. The candles extinguished instantly, and everyone cheered. No fear, no collapse, just a little girl celebrating life. What did you wish for? Nora asked. Lily smiled. I wish that all kids could be as safe as I am now. Later, as guests departed, and Lily slept peacefully, Marcus stood in Sarah's garden. The roses she planted bloomed brilliantly, as if she knew justice had finally come. We did it, Sarah, he whispered. She'll never hurt anyone again. And Lily, she's gonna be okay. The wind rustled through the roses, carrying the scent of new beginnings. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, the Caldwell family was whole, safe, and free. Justice had prevailed. Love had won, and somewhere in maximum security, a monster counted ceiling tiles while the world moved on without her. 6 months later, the Connecticut autumn painted the Caldwell backyard in brilliant golds and reds. Lily's laughter echoed across the lawn as she chased soap bubbles floating in the crisp air. Each breath she took to blow more bubbles was deep, unafraid. Free. Marcus watched from the porch, coffee warming his hands, his heart finally at peace. Beside him sat Nora Chen, no longer Nurse Chen, but simply Nora, who'd become family through their shared battle. She's applying to medical school, Marcus said, nodding toward Lily. Says she wants to be like Dr. Frost, save kids like he saved her. Nora smiled. She'll be brilliant. She's already got the most important quality. She knows what it's like to need saving. The small birthday gathering was intentionally intimate. Dr. Frost, now 80 but still sharp, demonstrated magic tricks. Ethan and his wife pushed their toddler on the swing Marcus had finally installed. Mason Cross flipped burgers, retired from private investigation to teach criminal justice. Diana Marsh had brought her grandchildren, the ones Vivian had threatened, now safe. Playing with Lily, time for cake, Marcus called. They gathered around the picnic table where a homemade chocolate cake waited. 9 candles for the birthday they'd nearly lost, plus 1 for growing stronger. Remember last year? Lily asked, looking at the candles thoughtfully. I was so scared. Every time I had to blow something, I thought I'd die. But you didn't, Dr. Frost said gently. You survived, and your survival saved others. It was true. The Caldwell case had exposed a network of medical predators, 17 more arrests nationwide, hundreds of suspicious deaths re-examined. Lily's story had become a cautionary tale that protected countless children. Make a wish, sweetheart, Marcus said. Lily closed her eyes. drew in the deepest breath her healthy lungs could manage, and exhaled with joy. The candles flickered out instantly, smoke curling into the afternoon sky like released spirits. "What did you wish for?" Diana's granddaughter asked. "I wish that everyone who's scared gets their own Nora," Lily said, hugging her former nurse. "Someone who fights for them when they can't fight for themselves." As the party continued, Marcus found himself by Sarah's rose garden. The flowers bloomed magnificently. As if celebrating with them, he could almost feel her presence, not as a ghost, but as a gentle reassurance that love endures beyond death. "Mr. Caldwell," Ethan approached. Nervously, "I wanted to thank you for not pressing charges against me. I knew something was wrong, but I was scared. You came through when it mattered." Marcus assured him, "That's what counts." As sunset approached, the gathering naturally wound down. Friends became family through shared trauma departed with. Warm hugs and promises to meet again soon, not in crisis, but in celebration. Finally, just Marcus and Lily remained in the yard. She sat on the swing, pumping her legs, breathing freely in the evening air. "Dad, do you think Mom, my real mom, would be proud?" Marcus knelt beside the swing. "She loved you before you were born. She died trying to protect you. Yes, Princess. She'd be so proud. You're brave like her, strong like her. You have her kind heart. I wish I remembered her." "You do, in ways you don't realize. Every time you stand up for someone, every time you choose love over fear, that's your mom in you." Lily jumped off the swing and into his arms. "I love you." "Daddy, I love you too, Princess, forever and always, above." Then, the first stars appeared in the darkening sky. Somewhere, Sarah watched over them. Somewhere else, Vivian counted prison walls. But here, in this moment, a father and daughter breathed freely. The story that began with a desperate scream in a hospital now ended with peaceful breaths in a garden. Lily was safe. Justice had prevailed. Love had conquered evil. In every breath, every single breath, was a celebration of life, freely given and freely taken.